Ready Check Radio. What's up, Internet? That music means it's Thursday. It's 7 p.m. Eastern. That means it's time for the Relic Grind, Ready Check Radio's Final Fantasy XIV Square Enix podcast. I'm your host, Mike Byrne. Just like every week, we are here to break down the week in Final Fantasy XIV, Square Enix, Final Fantasy, the trading card game, and all things from that company we love. We got a great show for you here today. If you're joining us live, twitch.tv/ReadyCheckRadio. Awesome. Thank you. We've got chat. Freycore on the final step of their Relic for the first time. He did his hair this week. No, I got a haircut. Like a week and a half ago. I'm sorry. Did you just have a seizure? What happened? One of my hosts just to me. I don't.
Said snip, snip.
Snip, snip. Oh, snip, snip. Yeah, we got a good show. If you're watching on YouTube or listening on Spotify, by the way, click subscribe, click follow, whatever the hell it is on Spotify. That's what helps us get recognized and recommended to more people. So if you like what we do here, you can head on over to the main website, ReadyCheckRadio.com. Upper right-hand corner has all the socials, Twitch, Twitter, Facebook, YouTube, Spotify, all of it. Follow, like it, tell your friends. If you love what we do, it's the easiest way and the freest way to support us. Joining me today to go over all the funness, Mr. Chris Montoya, a.k.a. Tarkoth. What's up, sir?
Greetings, programs. How's everyone doing this week?
I like your hat. You finally got it. You got
Repping
it.
the brand for you.
Yeah, you got it.
Doing good. Hype for
is this
Game
the
Show?
one that was lost, or is this the replacement?
No, this is the replacement. The one that was lost is just gone.
It's just
Sad.
gone.
Yeah.
It's just gone.
Delivered to somewhere in San Francisco, so never to be seen.
Well, if you're watching this show in San Francisco and you got a random Black Mage hat, congratulations. Congratulations. Also on the line, Mr. Adam Lane. What's up, Kronos?
Not much. Why Black Mage? Why not like Scholar, White Mage?
Because I couldn't find one.
Whoa. I don't ever want to hear the question why Black Mage on my show. I mean, come on. Don't you dare. But seriously though, how come you didn't you main a healer? Why didn't you go for a
I couldn't find one for any healer.
Really? Well, you couldn't find a Black Mage one at first either. It just ended up in San Francisco.
And then it got lost.
You wish it was delivered to a random onion in Texas on accident. Onion night in chat. Wish it was just randomly delivered here. All right. Well, I mean, let's get to it, gentlemen. Chat, let's go. Meepo is back. Meepo checking out the Final Fantasy TCG streams we were doing on Monday. We will be talking about FFTCG today. I love finding a way to work it into the show, and we got some good stuff for you trading card game fans to talk about there. But first, I would be remiss, like it's becoming a tradition, gentlemen. We keep bringing him back. Just when you thought he was out, we pull him back in.
We just need to get him on the show.
Right? No kidding. And that's Super Luis 64 is back with another fun controller scheme. And this dude's just awesome. I've covered him on Snowbound before we knew about Blizzard being assholes and we put that show on hiatus. Again, still considering a time appropriate to bring it back, but that time is not yet. So we still do the Relic Grind and Gaming Gumbo, though. So 2 out of 3 shows for you. We talked a few weeks ago about him using the Yu-Gi-Oh! Card wrist thingy as a Astrologian play, and now he is back actually using the Microsoft Kinect camera and wired it for controlling who else? The dancer. This is tremendous. If you have never seen any of his videos, please go check them out. I have no idea why he doesn't have tens of thousands of followers already. He's going to get there. He's definitely going to get there because these videos are just tremendous. I will, as always, link them in the video description down below, both on YouTube and on ReadyCheckRadio.com. But yeah, Tark, every heal or every ability starts with a dab.
Which is awesome. And why didn't we think of this when we were last talking about what else could he do? We were like, oh, I don't know. I don't think there's anything.
Well, I think there's only like 600 of us in the world that own a Kinect. So
that was going to be my next point. It's like no one else is using Kinect for anything at the moment. So
What's funny is like all the different stuff the Kinect actually was figured out to be really, really useful and cutting edge for the time and advanced for its time to do that had nothing to do with video gaming. Like I still have my Kinect. I think we had like 2 or 3. I got it because it came with the system that we bought. You know, it wasn't because I was like, let me get the Kinect. But you just gotta love a Texan dabbing in a cowboy hat. There are some moves, Kronos, that he did have to replace though. He tried to emulate the dancer's moves, but he had to replace some.
Well, I mean, the dab's not in there, so he added some too.
Yeah,
but
definitely.
Yeah, it's another example of like it's really cool. It's probably the best use of a Kinect I've ever seen, honestly.
Absolutely.
But
the best.
no way I would ever play this. Like it's cool. It's like the concepts are really cool, but it's like not really like you'd have a hard time actually trying to play the game doing it. But it's really cool.
As always, though, he did do a dungeon. He did do a trial. He did them randomly. Yeah, definitely get fit while playing Final Fantasy. I don't think he'll get as fit, and he does mention that this was a nice light workout. I don't think he'll get as fit as when he used the Ring Fit for Overwatch. That was, and he had to run, like, so he put a trampoline in his room, and he ran on a trampoline while using the Ring Fit for all of the motions in Overwatch. We covered that one on an episode of Snowbound. It's so fun watching him, and he's just like super creative, right? Like, look at the way he dressed, and then he glamored his character to look the same. We saw in Yu-Gi-Oh! That he did the Kaiba, glamour as much as he could. It's absolutely tremendous. My favorite is when he has to sub one of the dancer's moves because he couldn't do it into the Carlton.
It's perfect. I love the Carlton.
It is perfect.
That myself.
It is perfect. It does have a flaw, and I'm sure if you're watching closely that maybe you can see the flaw already. And Kronos, you want to share what that flaw might be?
I actually don't know. What is the flaw? I actually don't know.
He can't move.
Oh, he can't move. I guess that makes sense, yeah.
Yeah, so later in the video, he actually has to, like, duck forward, move on his keyboard to get out of an AoE, and then come back into position, but it creates a problem because you have to T-bone in front of the Kinect for it to recognize you. And if he moves forward to, move himself out of an AoE, the Kinect loses him, and he gets back in place, and he has to wait a few seconds for it to recognize that he's there before he can start dabbing and everything. So a few kinks. I like chat's recommendation, Tark. Maybe put him on a DDR pad and map those for your movement keys.
Or you maybe like Wii controls, because then you can have some buttons, or
that's true too. Yeah, that's true.
The motion controls. When I initially saw the show notes, I thought he was maybe using like a Sony movement sticks or Wii movement sticks. This is just extraordinary. This is another level. This is awesome.
One of his easier ones too, by the way. I mean, because this is essentially once you figure out how to connect a Kinect to your PC, you're basically just mapping a controller, right? This has nothing to do with files in Final Fantasy or soldering or anything like that. If you want to see some more in-depth stuff, check out his YouTube channel because it's absolutely just tremendous. Follow him on Twitter. Of course, that's where I see this stuff. So, also on Twitter this week, Hironobu Sakaguchi, the man, the myth, the legend himself, Kronos picked up a new game. He picked up a new game, and he's letting us know his thoughts about it. And honestly, I got to be surprised at the game that he's just now only touching it for the first time.
Yeah, I mean, you can't imagine everybody at Square Enix plays this game, right? There's got to be employees that don't, but I mean, he's a big enough name, you would think he would have tried it by now. Did you see what race he picked, though? That's the important part.
Shut up, you damn lava.
You can skip the rest of the article. The important part is what race he picked. So, it's fine.
He did pick a Lala, but there was apparently a little bit of a problem, Tark, with the naming.
Tried to name it after himself, right?
Yeah, and guess what name wasn't locked across all servers?
Sakaguchi?
Hironobu Sakaguchi. Yeah, it was not. Ironically, you think maybe it would have been.
You think the creator of Final Fantasy would get that kind of respect?
Maybe they were like, hey, let's lock down Yoshi P. Let's lock down this one. Should we get? Oh no, Sakaguchi's never gonna play. Sakaguchi-san's never playing. Forget it. We don't need to lock that. Oh shit, he's playing. He's playing. He's enjoying it though. He's enjoying it. It is fun to see his Twitter, and yeah, he did roll a Lala, Kronos.
It's the best race, dude. I tried to tell you, y'all wouldn't listen to me. You know, it's okay. You'll come around.
Soulless automatons.
You and your stupid potato.
You have no knees.
The potato is like one of the most popular races in the game.
It definitely is. Yeah,
it is.
Definitely
Unfortunately.
is. So as of when I put the show notes together, he is a level 10 gladiator. And Matsuno is helping him via Zoom and a 2-person mount. So there's a little bit of cheating here going on. Not exactly getting the brand new player experience here. This is the brand new player with a friend experience.
Hey, it's in the game. You let him play how he wants to play, okay? We have enough of this gatekeeping already. Stop it.
I mean, the man can play any way he wants to. He's
exactly
the father of Final Fantasy, basically. God, could we just... I remember the show we did a few weeks ago where we just fell down the rabbit hole. I wonder if he learned about ACT yet. I don't think so. I don't think so. I don't think so.
I don't think he's going that deep.
Yeah, he's a level 10. He's a level 10. He's got some time. You may have heard, gentlemen, a new MMORPG launched this week.
Really?
Yeah. Q World. New World.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, Amazon game.
They locked down.
We're not going to talk about
They locked down names.
Yeah, yes, they did. We're not going to talk too much about the game itself here. That will be Saturday on Gaming Gumbo. I'll also be doing Ginger Prime's podcast tomorrow, Friday at 11 a.m. Eastern Time. And then doing Always Online podcast tomorrow on MMO Bomb, twitch.tv/MMO Bomb at 1 p.m. Eastern. So if you want to see my thoughts on New World, I'm going to have hours of New World podcasting all over the place tomorrow. I'm bringing it to this show. Oh, yeah, I've been on Ginger Primes a few times. Brian's a good friend of mine. He's been on this show, too. And I do want to bring it here just a little bit. Just a little. Because actually, before the game launched, there was a tweet that I had seen that said, New World, the Final Fantasy XIV killer. Okay. And I had the same reaction you did. I've covered MMOs for 10, 12 years now. You know, I just had the same, eye rolling, way to go with your tweet bait, you know. That's all it was. It was somebody that's got a far, far more followers than I will ever have. You're throwing a little bit of Twitter bait out there. I'm not even going to give their name. It's just not worth it. Why am I bringing this here then? Well, because New World replied from the official Twitter account.
Yeah, someone took the bait.
Somebody definitely took the bait. And it was the New World official account that just simply replied, keep going.
Have we not learned from history? You know, just you do your thing. You don't need to be comparing. If you're successful.
Well, here's the thing. Like,
the whole genre succeeds.
Yeah, I mean, I know it's not the devs behind the Twitter account and everything. You know, it's some social media person sitting there, and they probably thought it was cute and pithy and funny, and they were pulling a Wendy's, you know, on Twitter, and a little bit of roast against some competition and have fun. But here's the thing, Kronos. To me, there's a clear difference in that type of roasting, just trying to have fun and be pithy and funny, and maybe throwing some shade, even if you meant it jokingly, one at a game that, yeah, even if New World is the best thing in a long time in the MMO genre, it's going to take you years to get there, just like it took Final Fantasy XIV years to get there, just like it took World of Warcraft years to get there. Second, you're from a totally unproven company that to date has an absolutely less than stellar track record on actually launching a product. Much
the word you
less
want is abysmal
Yeah.
record.
much less actually killing another project. I don't know. I just thought it was in bad form. I tweeted out about it. I just said, hey, sad to see this. The initial tweet is just dumb tweet bait. The fact that Play New World replied like that is just sad, though. This is the type of tweet that ends up getting memed against you later. Should have risen above the bait for a company with a horrid track record so far. It's just funny watching like two different spectrums here because like I imagine that at some point we're going to get a tweet from the Final Fantasy XIV account, Kronos, that congratulates New World. Like when they're going to hit some milestone, like, you know, they've been at like 600, 700,000 players. When they get to that million mark, that's because it's just what Final Fantasy does. It's like a tale of two accounts here.
Yeah, I mean, they probably will for sure. I mean, I think they've done that for like a bunch of other games too. I just laughed when I saw it. I actually saw it before you even like retweeted it. I just think it's like it's definitely stupid. Like they shouldn't have done it. I just because it's gonna get memed on. I would probably bet money that at some point in time, this tweet's gonna come back.
Oh, 100%.
Like, in a bad way.
100%.
Ever have to do any sort of server mergers? Bam, this is coming front and center.
Which they will. And by the way, covering MMOs on MMOBomb.com and GameBreaker and other sites and everything, I absolutely hate writing or assigning server merge articles because they are just such a natural part of the cycle. But they are always treated with dead game. Come on, have we not learned yet? Anyway, I just thought it was like, really? I'm going to admit I smiled a little. I'm with you, Kronos, but then I just kind of shook my head and I was like, you know, if it were Blizzard, it might have come across Blizzard pre all the lawsuits and stuff, right? Let's go Blizzard 20 years ago. If it were Blizzard 20 years ago, you kind of probably would have smiled and said, oh, look at these two games, you know, Final Fantasy and Blizzard and Square and Blizzard kind of duking it out a little bit on Twitter, having a little bit of fun. When it comes from a company who's canceled one project before it ever made major testing, brought one out and then pulled it back into beta and then canceled it. I mean, it just kind of looks like, yeah, okay, buddy, settle down. You're punching up and you're going to lose even if your product is good. It was just like unneeded attention in my mind.
I agree. Yeah.
All right. Anyway, there you go. New World.
Anyway,
we got some more details. Talk about the high quality item changes. What's going on?
everything that you're going to be used to craft things, basically you won't have high quality. So there's going to be some more changes down the road for crafting and gathering as well. But they're letting us know now that as soon as Endwalker hits, anything that you have high quality as far as materials basically is going to be null and void. You can still lower the quality and use them in that function. But they're trying to conserve inventory space. They're trying to free up some of those slots. So I think it's a good change.
Yeah, and we talked about it when it was revealed like generically on the live letter. But this week on the official Lodestone, we got some more individual details because all we knew, they kind of just said, things like drops and gatherings, that type of stuff. But they specifically mention items gathered via botany, mining, and fishing, materials dropped by enemies, materials obtained via tombstone and script exchange, which was not something we previously knew, and non-craftable materials obtained from certain content. So now we have a list of exactly the ones they're taking out, Kronos, but they did make a point to say, hey, we're not going to take your items away from you. Mm-hmm. If you have HQ materials, you'll still have HQ materials, but just like we're reworking the abilities that maybe buff HQ synthesis, these will not buff any synthesis for being HQ. They're going to in the recipes, they're just going to be treated like regular materials.
Yeah, it is basically just a overarching change to raw materials, which is probably what they should have just said in the first place, but it's whatever. I think this affects fishers the most, if anybody really cares. because they have like a lot of abilities that they need to HQ certain things to like mooch fish and then get bigger fish.
True. Yeah.
So I think their abilities are going to change, and then you're going to have just abilities on miner and botanist that are going to be pointless, so they have to be changed. I don't think this is going to really affect crafting almost whatsoever, because honestly, I gather a fair amount, and like I don't even want the HQ stuff in the first place because they don't even really sell much better than the normal quality stuff. So I'm not. It's not like I'm even using those abilities right now. So like anybody that's saying they're gonna miss those, like no one
and they
cares.
did say from a crafting standpoint, you'll still be able to craft HQ. You're just not going to need HQ materials to, drastically increase your chances of crafting HQ. So, we'll there you go. I do think it's inventory wise, great change.
Yeah.
On top of that, just a few days later, in fact, today, Kronos, if you missed something in the 7-hour live letter, or something didn't quite get translated correctly, or whatever the case may be, there is a forum post for you. Did they say how they are going to do quality increases? Any of your HQ quality increase abilities that you use are going to be molded to increase the quality of a craft. So ability-wise, yes. From items, no, Frey. So I would imagine, Kronos, that this would mean a lower quality threshold to hit a high-quality craft. If you're not going to supplement the inbound materials, you're probably going to decrease.
It might be, but they're also like crafters will still be able to craft the in-between HQ stuff for the bigger crafts, which might even it out.
Yeah.
But I think what he's talking about too is like the miner and botany skills that just increase your percentage of HQ. And I think they mentioned that those are actually going to go more towards the quantity that you get of the item.
Quantity.
So they'll probably just flip those over to just abilities that somehow increase the amount of items you get. More than likely.
Now we have a full forum breakdown from the team at Square for the entire live letter. So if you have nothing to do for the next 5 hours-ish, and you're looking, it is nicely broken down. I will give them that. Like, you could just control find whatever the hell you're looking for. It's all, got titles and everything. But if you look closely, as Kronos was doing this afternoon, he's found a few nuggets that we kind of want to bring up here for you that maybe didn't translate or didn't come out as clear as they could have, that got a little bit of benefit of now being written and translated by the official team.
Yeah. So I think the main one is like right at the beginning. So they kind of touched on the benefit of like using cooldowns, but not really at the same time. They said that popping cooldowns at like multiple cooldowns will receive a benefit. So maybe you get like extra defense if you pop like Rampart plus something else. And then they also said if you do it when you take big damage. So it doesn't even really sound like it has anything to do with the timer or anything, but we still don't know what the benefit is. So it's still pretty vague there. The other big ones like were some just specific skill stuff like samurai buffs now you get applied when you use your Mechio and you hit the third hit of the combo. That's like a new change. They specifically said Red Mage, displacement and engagement are no longer different potencies now. I don't even know why they both exist in the game if they're the same potency, but that's another thing. I don't know if you saw the Black Mage one, that fire procs and thunder procs have increased timers now, so you can hold on to them even longer.
Yay.
I don't know how long.
Yay.
But that's kind of nice. And then the Dark Knight, they did confirm that the TBN in the trailer, the second one, is a new skill, which is weird because it looks the same. So
yeah, it looks identical.
Yeah, so I'm kind of interested to see like
AoE TBN maybe.
Yeah, maybe, I don't know, but they said it's a separate skill. So, and there's some other few things in there too, some smaller stuff, but those are the big ones.
Also, on the data center side of things, although data center transfers are still going to be delayed and everything, they did confirm that they are still on target for the Oceania or the Oceanic data center launch. That portion has not changed, just the whole data center travel element being delayed. Tark, it's a good read. I mean, there's a ton of screenshots. I'd probably just go watch the live letter if you missed it, or you could watch our recap episode, which is on
you go.
Ready Check Radio and on YouTube from last Thursday, where we kind of ran the gamut of everything and gave our opinions all the way down. But if you were looking for, hey, I want to know about black mages, it is nice to go and just see everything they had to say about black mage, whether it was a huge, big deal or big information or not, and know that you're not getting, my opinion of a black mage change that you didn't watch the original stream. By the way, I'm working from a translation that isn't the official translation. So we usually get these summations. It's a 7-hour long live stream, so this is a very long forum post, multiple posts.
Yeah. Great resource, though. Definitely take a look at it. Great read, actually.
Gentlemen, we have converted another.
Awesome.
We have converted
Us,
another.
right? 3?
Us
We did it.
personally. Yeah, the three of us. Yeah, the three of us. The three of us. I mean, Asmongold's been very complimentary of Final Fantasy XIV and enjoying it since switching over and playing that. And then we knew it's a bunch of other streamers, but we also knew Preach was going to be taking a look from Preach Gaming. And all things right out of the gate looking pretty positive, Tark. The Preach pretty happy with Final Fantasy XIV. Almost glowing, I would say.
He's had some critical talk about it, which is
absolutely,
warranted
yeah.
for the first
And
part
so
of
is
the
Asmon.
game. But yeah, he's coming around, showing more glowing responses. One of the clips I loved was who are your least favorite characters, and one of them's Rabon. Like Rabon, and then I want to say 2 days later I saw another clip. Who are your favorite characters? He's like, well, I love Rabon. I'm like, see, you just gotta stick with these characters, go through their journey with them. They'll grow on you. You'll learn to love them until they die.
They don't really die.
Well,
Only like 2
Sail,
characters, but
spoilers,
3. Okay,
Sail,
3.
Moonbreda.
3 characters. Moonbreda was in one patch. I don't even understand why people are like so connected to Moonbreda. She was in one patch.
I
But
think
that's
connected
another
to
thing.
Moonbreda through Urianger.
That's a weird connection.
Yeah,
but
he is suffering a bit from the whole new player thing, and it's something we've said a lot on this show, and it's nothing new to or unique to us that it, like it or not, and Jason Winter and I talk about this all the time. We hate well, you got to get to end game because that's when the game gets really good. Fuck you, make it good at the beginning then. Don't tell me, the end game is when it changes. So, and so Preach does talk about like, hey, questing is very run of the mill. MMOs need to get away from this type of questing, and Final Fantasy has it in spades. Not liking the combat right now, and in fact, calling it downright fucking awful when he first started there. The story is great, and that's what's keeping him there. Can't wait for it to change at some point. Now, those were some initial impressions.
Mm-hmm.
That was September 23rd-ish, about a week ago. Then we fast forward to a little more recent, 2 days ago. Okay. And we get this lovely quote. So he's now further. He's finding out about like building airships with the crafting dailies and stuff like that. And he says, "You build airships and submarines. This is a whole part of the game I haven't even touched on, right? Yeah, this is ridiculous. Man, it's no wonder WoW got shit on when people moved over here. This is very cool. This is incredible. I'm actually mind blown. This is so good." And what's funny for me about that is he's talking about dailies. I mean, those are essentially dailies, right? To go do that. And he's probably going to be a little disappointed in the fact that you don't like take to the skies in these big things once you've built them, but very complimentary going into it, Kronos.
They're basically like retainers.
Yeah.
Without inventory space. I send them out. I'm in charge of mine on the FC, so it's cool. The thing is, for a new player that's never touched this game, that's coming into the game now, there is a crazy amount of stuff to do because nothing ever gets removed. So it's like it's almost overwhelming in a sense, because I have a lot of friends who have started recently who are WoW players too, and they don't even like know where to go like other than the main story, right? And a lot of people will tell people like, oh, concentrate on the MSQ, which it's good advice. But once they start like branching away from the MSQ, it's really hard to like. You have to like go to like people's like content creators that have that stuff like in one area because it can be overwhelming. Like he's gonna find out about this, and most people don't even really know about submarines and airships. Like he'll probably start doing like other side stuff like Palace of the Dead, stuff like that. But yeah, I mean, all the stuff he's been saying in his recent videos that I've watched are all great. I saw he said that he hated Lalafels at first, but then when he started doing the Black Mage quests, he actually really likes them now. So I thought that was kind of funny.
Yeah, I mean, if I gotta hold something against him, I guess that'll be it. I guess that'll be it.
I mean, that's
one thing.
Absolutely a markdown.
One thing I wanted to bring up that he did mention is because they're so parser in the game, he's having trouble like really identifying how he's performing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think that is like a valid criticism of the game. It's like if you go to dungeon, right, and a dungeon seems to be going well, you don't know if it's because of you or if it's like the other three people
Or
are just
in spite
that good.
of you. Yeah.
Yeah, like and like I see it in like because I run my parser, right? So I do Delubrums and stuff, and I see these people and they're like, "Oh man, this is a great run. This is so fast," and I'm like, people, there needs to be some kind of middle ground for like people like him. I feel like there has to be something to identify how good you're doing because right now.
Yeah, and we've alluded to this and talked about this before too, but like what is the middle ground? Tark, you've always said, "Hey, just give me something for my own DPS. Just let me see my own DPS."
Yes.
But then you're taking, let's say they put a first party personal DPS meter in. It only tracked you. How useful is that when it relies on you then leaving the game to go compare that to stats from a third-party website, an app, whatever you're going to use to compare it to see, okay, if I'm level 70 and I'm Black Mage and my item score is this, where should I be right now if I'm doing the rotation right? Like, how beneficial is a single person DPS meter even in this grand scheme if it's always going to rely on, I need to go somewhere else to compare that data to something?
Having the opportunity to compare and know that knowledge, at least that's something. Right now, like I don't like playing DPS jobs because I have no idea how I'm doing, and I can't. I they say don't use the third party program, but they wash over it. I have no option. I play on the PS5. I have no option to do that. Maybe I can get a friend to join me that's on a PC, and they can run a meter for me. But otherwise, this again, looking outside the game because they don't give you information on how to build your rotation. I have to look information for that to really nail down and find out what a best rotation would be. So, give me some information that I can process.
Well, and that's kind of my question then. What is the middle ground then, Kronos? They're never going to put in. They're never going to put in a full DPS meter. We know that, and that's okay. Fine. They're probably never going to put in a single play. Like they don't want to touch this, and we all understand why. We've talked about it on shows prior. I don't want to rehash it. But what is the middle ground then?
I mean, I think the personal one is the middle ground, honestly. But like you said, I mean, but we already do all the stuff that you're saying now. But yeah, you're right. It is extra effort. It's not like something that's going to be in the game. And to count, like to play devil's advocate to myself, it's like you don't really, a lot of the content in the game, almost all the content in the game, it doesn't really matter, right? Like for most people, like they don't care if a dungeon takes them 30 minutes or 15 minutes, right? Like,
well,
it's dead is dead, right? I mean, I'm not saying no one cares. I'm not saying no one cares, but at the end of the day, and I'm playing devil's advocate to myself because I care about those things, right? Like when I go in a dungeon, like if I'm your tank in a dungeon, we're going wall to wall, baby. I'm not stopping.
Yeah.
So, but like, that's a preference thing technically. And at the end of the day, it's like a clear's a clear, I guess. And I feel like in this game, it's your DPS typically, unless you're doing Savage or Ultimate, isn't gonna stop you from clearing. It's just gonna make it take longer. But I don't know about you, but I like things to not take as long. That's just kind of, and I also like to play my job better. Like for me, it's more of an improvement tool than it is anything else.
Right, but
and I think
this is the internet, and that's not how any of these things
you're
get
not
used.
wrong, and we know that. We know that, and that's why it's not in the game.
100%.
And yeah, that's definitely a super valid point. But I think the personal one, at least I could, like, if I run X dungeon and I do 5,000 DPS, and then I run X dungeon again, and I do 10,000 DPS. At least I know I did something right, because I just doubled my DPS.
So what about this then? Like, and again, devil's advocate, because I really don't care. Like, I've played WoW for years. I played Final Fantasy XI for years. Like, so all over the board, games that had DPS meters, games that didn't, games that allowed third-party ones that didn't care if you linked them in chat, games that didn't allow them but you could run them. I've played them all. So it doesn't bother me. I run recount on our WoW raids every Friday. So fine. If it was there, it wouldn't bother me. If I sucked and you want to link it to me, cool. Great story, asshole. Have a great day. I just don't care. If I have a bad day, it doesn't matter to me. What about this then? What if we tackled it from a different perspective, right? Because at the end of the day, the problem with lower DPS or underperformance is more a problem about rotation and positioning. Well, positioning's an easy one to figure out whether or not, in most cases, you're doing right or not. Did you stay in the bad and get hit, or did you anticipate and know the patterns enough or have practiced the fight enough to get out of the way while not sacrificing DPS? Like Black Mage, at certain times, I don't move when the telegraph goes off. I move 5 seconds before that ability is going to come off because it's the best time in my rotation to move, not to move and react from the telegraph. What if there was a tool in the game, whether it was like a little scrolling bar or whatever, that if for each class you could, and we've seen this in tutorial videos, right, where they have a bit of a simulation bar that websites can generate showing you rotations and timing. But what if there were a tool like that in game, Tark, that, hey, we're not going to focus on the number that you pumped out 8,000 DPS. But we are going to focus on, do you want to learn a beginner single target rotation? And you can only do this during test dummies. You can't go do it in a fight or anything. But you can queue up this almost music notes thing that handholds you through a beginner, an intermediate, and an expert rotation for each class. I think something like that kind of goes...
the expert, something of that nature.
Yeah. And we have Sky. Like, I know we do that, but that's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about something a little more catered to the individual classes and individual rotations. Because at the end of the day, there is a bad rotation, there is an okay rotation, there is a better rotation, and there is the optimum rotation for every class. And yes, those might be situational at times, but if you know the expert level rotation for your scholar, then the rest just becomes learning how to do that in the context of the movement of a fight. Because honestly, one of the things I think the game does lack is any real teaching you in depth of the class beyond teaching you how the soul gauge works for your particular class and what abilities pump the gauge and which ones can be used to pay off the gauge.
Yeah, I think this game needs another level beyond just like Hall of the Novice. I think we need a Hall of the Intermediate, of the Expert, something that teaches your job specifically, not just the role. Because go back to the dungeon thing, like I can feel when the DPS isn't performing well, those mobs stay up too long. So there needs to be something that can help teach. And there's just nothing like that in game, unfortunately.
I don't know. Anyway,
I don't know either. Most of the time, the issue technically is just they're not hitting their buttons. Like a lot of people just don't hit their buttons.
Yeah,
I can't explain it. I don't know why.
Here's another option. Maybe something at like the end of a dungeon, like they set up like a damage threshold. You do that, average damage. You get an S rank, A rank. You did pretty good.
Oh fuck no!
They're still gonna be toxic because I was thinking in my head
that'd be toxic as hell.
Well, they already do. They put up stats for PvP.
PvP is different though, right?
PvP is meant to be
because
competitive
you're actually
from
competing.
the onset.
Yeah. So I was thinking in my head too. It's like, oh, what if they have like a meter in the game that shows the percentage of the DPS you're doing, not a number? But then I was like, oh, that's the same thing.
Yeah.
And people are still gonna be like, what are you doing over there with your meter? It's not full at all. Like, so it's hard because they've already drawn a line in the sand, kinda, and I don't think it's ever gonna change. I just think it's unfortunate personally, but I get it. and I'm just going to continue to use the third-party tool that they don't ban people for using. So
Yeah, and
I know it sucks for console players. I understand that it sucks, but
yeah. So, and two things here. One, if you play with me, I don't care. If your DPS is lacking and you need help, ask. I will be more than happy to help you.
I'm not going to boot anyone.
Lacking,
I'm not booting anyone, but there are assholes that will. So,
I don't know if my
and
DPS
the
is
other
lacking.
point on this is, unless you're running Savages and Ultimates and Unreals, and honestly, you're going to be fine. Just enjoy the freaking game. Just enjoy the freaking game. And Tark, why haven't you switched to PC yet? Like, I don't. You bought a boss rig, but you still play on the PS5. Like, you spent thousands of dollars on a boss rig, and you were like, "Fuck no, I'm not spending $60 on this software again."
Basically, that's what it came down to.
Oh my god!
I have the PS5, so why do I need why do I need
for Act, dude? It's for Act. You're paying $60 for Act. Think of it that way.
Then we wouldn't hear about you not having a DPS
I'm not
meter anymore.
To be using.
Or everybody, like, I'd say 90% of the people that raid use that tool. Like,
I know. That's what makes it frustrating as a console player.
And if you're not in the 90%, you're probably in the other 5% where you're a console player and someone in your party has it too. So it's like, there's a very low percentage, I feel like, of, and it's fine because it exists, so I use it, which is great. I just wish there was a more open discussion about just improving things. That's all. Like, people to like seek improvement instead of just being like okay with single targeting on 7 mob pulls in a dungeon.
The company was like, "How much will your computer be? How much do I owe you?" They were like, $7,800. Tark was like, "Sweet. Final Fantasy, what's it going to take for me to be able to play on the PC?" They were like, "Well, we'll give you the entire bundle for $60. Nope.
Actually, I think it's on sale right now. I think you can get the entire set.
I just checked on Steam. It's $60 right now for the bundle.
Oh, not Steam. It would be PC. It'd be, I think it's like $40 the entire collection.
Oh yeah, you're right. Like, if you bought it direct, that's always on sale. Direct from them. Oh man, and then we wouldn't have to hear about you at Act. Although, like, then all of a sudden he'd disappear from the show for like 3 weeks, Kronos, because he'd be like, "I got to work on DPS. It was worse than I thought, boys."
I have Act and I still complain, so it doesn't stop. It doesn't really stop.
My rotation is really hard. I mean, it's broil.
Right.
Broil.
I don't know about you, dude. I really like to see how hard my flattest miseries hit, dude. I look at that number. I'm just like, did you see that? That was sick.
Oh yeah, 70K hits. I'm like, Jesus.
Dude, at Delubrum, I hit for like 500K. I don't know what you're talking about.
Oh my god. Well, that's just shenanigans in there.
Did you guys enjoy the 8-hour server downtime for architecture support? The Aether data center got opened again for new characters, so steps in the right direction, right?
Yeah, I love Monday maintenance that cuts into my ultimate prog, so that's always fun.
I just played something else, but yeah.
Whoa, you played something else?
Yeah.
Oh,
I play other games. Sometimes I do play other games, I
don't think you could be on the show anymore.
It was a Square Enix game. Does that count? It counts.
It counts.
Yeah.
Is that a fighter? Is it Urgeist?
No.
In other Square Enix news, we have a new Final Fantasy trading card game boxed set coming. And this looks not only sweet for us collectors, which, yes, I already pre-ordered for.
Jesus Christ.
No, it's Mike.
It's actually worth it, though.
Really
but he's not even going to sell them. He's going to keep them. So it's not even like he's buying it for the resale value. He's buying these sealed.
Yeah, 2 of them will stay sealed.
Oh, 2.
Yeah, 2 of them will stay sealed. I'll open 2 of them. So you're seeing a picture of the box. We got the Squally one himself here on the box. This will not be out until next year, but you can pre-order it on the site now. Of course, you could get it from your local game store if they carry the game as well, so give them a call. They probably just got notified about these being available on their side this week, so they might not see them yet, but give them a call, whatever. They don't actually come out until May of next year. But this is celebrating the anniversary 2022 anniversary collection set. Now, not only is this going to have a 50-card starter deck for you that you could play right away, but it's also going to have 200 additional cards running from the original Opus 1 set all the way through the Opus 12 booster sets. A lot of these are sought-after cards, ones that still see quite a bit of play today in constructed decks at tournaments, but are a little harder to get, right? Things like Opus 1 Shantoto, the board clear itself. Gabranth, who is a Earth Searcher that's in an awful lot of decks. So cards like that might be a little harder to get. This will actually be the second time Shantoto's been reprinted itself, but this will give them much, much more availability, because even in Shantoto's first reprint, it was a full art legacy foil, which meant it was one of the rarest cards in its reprinting set. So still a little challenging to get, but 200 cards in here. And then a new anniversary promo card, including three of those cards. And that is a incredibly gorgeous Una Titus card. Titus, if you prefer. Meepo finally going to get Shantotos. So this is like the first dual character card we've seen in Final Fantasy TCG. There were dual character cards in chapters, so it's not surprising. Doesn't mean that we'll have any in this upcoming set, because this is a category anniversary. That's a category that there's only a few cards in, and while technically legal and powerful, they just have absolutely no value right now on the board state besides being there with other anniversary cards. And yeah, it's not smart to be running them. But we do get them. This set looks awesome, Kronos. I think this is tremendous. They needed something like this, right? Because we've talked about, are they going to have to implement a rotation? You know, because some of these cards are just astronomically hard for people like Tark, who just started a few months ago, to go and get. I got a bajillion of them, but I'm not selling them, right? I'm using the damn things.
Keeping them sealed, dude.
Or I'm keeping them sealed, right. Right. Yeah. I sit there and I tweedle my mustache while looking at them. Meepo needs Shantotos. I have 70. That's just me. But it does, you know, are they going to do rotate? And they did limited 3 and limited 6. We all hoped they wouldn't become the standard format. Legacy full art foil reprints are nice, but still suffer from ultimate rarity in the sets, so they become expensive to try and buy on a secondhand market again. This 200 reprinted cards, including things like Shantoto, Y'shtola from Opus 5. I mean, just cards that still see play today, Gabranth. This is a tremendous set. And then, hey, let's get the mics of the world to buy this too by throwing a little bit of collector promo dust in there as well. All in all, this might be the best box that I think they've released before. And I liked the Tifa tins and the Sephiroth tins, but they were like 3 booster packs, 3 booster packs, 3 booster packs, and one of the latest one, and here's a couple promos. That doesn't do a new player any good right off the bat. This does, and has the collector's value. I think they nailed it with this one, at least in my opinion.
100%. Yeah, I think they need to do more of these, to be honest.
100,
people need, because they need people to catch up. If you want new players to play, and you're having a game where you're gonna keep releasing sets and not rotate, like, I mean, set 15 comes out in like a couple months,
November, yeah.
So, yeah, that's no bueno for a new player who doesn't have a crap ton of money. So I think they should just keep doing this, and as long as they're like non-foils or whatever, you're not really affecting the market that much. And also you're feeding, and if you put a little nugget in there for people like you, right? Like for this Titan, like the Una and Titus, and then you're also going to have people that are just kind of getting those cards, and then they'll take the cards that they don't need because they already have 70 of them, like the Renoas and the Gabrants, and they'll put it back into the market. Yeah. So it's like, it helps new players, and it gives older players a little bit of something and a reason to spend the $60 to get the deck box and the unique cards. I think they just need to do it more so that they can actually like just get the older cards into players' hands, at least the ones that are good that see play, right? Because if you want the competitive scene to thrive and get new players, you can't tell someone they got to go spend $120 on Renoas, you know? Like, you want to play Ice? Like,
Yeah,
Here you go.
Final Max in chat jumping a little bit ahead of us because we haven't even gotten to the price point yet. We're still but absolutely right. Mr. Final Max in chat says, and then the price point for the box is pretty close to perfect. $60 isn't bad for this kind of anniversary collection.
Yeah.
Think about that. It is a 50-card pre-constructed deck for you new players. It is 200 cards, including 12 different legends that have been reprinted in this. We don't even know what the other stuff is yet. Right? We've got a view of some of the cards that are in here, a couple of the legends, and a couple other cards. There are 200 cards in here on top of that deck. And then your promo stuff, $59.99 on Square Enix. Yeah, probably Canadian dollars, Meepo, isn't going to be pretty. Shipping normally rocks you guys from the Square Enix store. Try to get a local game store. Hit up Lockwood over at Cards of Ivalice. Hit up Gregory Cole over at The Light. They are tremendous people. They will try to take care of you as best they can. If you can't get it, they'll tell you first. They've been on stream, hanging out in stream, watching us play and stuff. They'll tell you first. The same thing I always tell you: go to your local store first. But if you can't, those are the two right off the top of the head. Many more friends in the industry.
I just hope these are easy to find. Like, even if you have to pay a little bit extra for the shipping or whatever from the site, I hope these don't like sell out and then don't get printed again, you know?
Yeah.
So
I do agree, though, Tark, that with something Medic said in chat, and maybe it's just, I play a lot, and I'm sure Kronos probably has the same feeling, at least being, having the pulse on the competitive community if he doesn't play competitively anymore. While there are some very useful cards in here, I do think the legends that we know about so far, they probably could have picked a couple different better ones, in my opinion. Y'shtola's nice. That'll see play for people. Shantoto's nice. That'll see play for people. Waters Zidane is fun, but is normally in decks that are a little more advanced and are going to require some tech for a new player. Maybe he is in there, but I'd rather see probably a 3-drop Win Zidane for newer players. He's not a legend, but maybe he's in there. I don't know. They could have. When we see all 12, I'll make final judgment, but I'm okay with it so far. What do you think about this as a newer player, and maybe using something like this as a catch-up mechanic so that you don't have to hit up TCG Player and spend, $150 on a play set of Shantotos?
Yeah. This is awesome. And if I was in any sort of region that I could actually play, I'd probably pick up 2 of these boxes like right away. I'd just drop it down blank. Absolutely. One of the problems I think
well,
that
they
maybe
are
could...
$60, and I know your aversion to giving Square Enix $60. So, are you sure?
So as I was saying, maybe one of the things they can do to alleviate their past things is in between new release sets. Maybe they can start a cycle. Okay, we're a month and a half. Right in between. Let's redrop a reprinting of Opus 1, and then next time Opus 2, and then it'll keep it a little rare. And you're cycling through, and you're still getting new sets. As far as this particular product, and maybe more like it, this would be awesome. To pick up. And yes, I would drop $120. I would buy 2 of these boxes.
You wouldn't wait for them to even be on sale. We also got to see a sample Squall card in here that is not in the game to date. So whether that's
probably needs to...
probably Opus 15, not really Opus 15.
It's Opus 15.
It's Opus 15.
Yeah, it's okay.
It's Opus 15. Speaking of Opus 15, we also today, in fact, got a little bit of a spill of some spoilers on the official FFTCG page. Always go check out the card of the week or pose. Yeah, the new Yuna as well, Meepo. I just brought one card here, but I think there's like 5 or 6 that are spoiled on there. I brought the Lightning Legend because it's Lightning and it's a legend and I'm me. So, yeah, I'm going to bring Lightning cards. But no, seriously, all joking aside, I did bring Lady Lilith here, a 2-drop light forward at 5k power from Final Fantasy XI, because we are getting a new mechanic in the next set, Crystal Dominance, right? I can never. It's Opus
Crystal
15 to me.
Dominion. Crystal Dominion.
Dominion. It's always Opus 15 to me.
It's
Dominion.
yeah, everybody's gonna call it that, so that's fine.
Yeah. We are getting a new mechanic called crystals. We'll come back to that in a second. For you Magic the Gathering players, think of this kind of like as energy. It's a resource that you can build up that is specific to the player, and then you can spend that resource on maybe different action abilities and things like that that your characters on board may have. So I brought Lilith here to show everybody because Lilith actually has text that both gains you crystals and has a spend as well. So you can see the text for it. You know, sacrificing a forward, removing it from the game once per turn. You can generate a personal crystal. It's not on Lilith. It's on you as the player. So even if Lilith dies, you would still retain your crystals. And then she has 2 different action abilities that can be used at spending one of those crystals or spending 2 of them. So this is our new mechanic coming in this set. Plus, I love the art of Lilith here. She's a great character from Final Fantasy XI. All in all, I thought it'd be neat to show you guys this, but I also got to say, I fucking hate that they called this crystals, Kronos.
It's terrible.
It's awful.
Anything else?
So confusing.
Yeah, it's like you have crystal points and crystals. Like, I mean, again, you know, like we're probably not gonna have a problem with it. But if you're trying to bring in a new player, right? Like,
yeah,
they're gonna. How many times? I guarantee, I can't wait for the pre-release for this. You'll have to tell me how many times this happens to you. Someone's gonna try to tap a backup and spend mana or spend CP to pay for one of these abilities.
Oh, 100%. Yeah,
There's
it'll
a crystal
happen.
on there.
It'll happen.
Yeah.
It'll happen.
It's a crystal point.
It just should have been named like anything else.
Anything. You call it dog turds. I don't care. Just crystals. Just. I'm gonna spend 1 crystal. Wait, so 1 CP? No.
Wait till they put a card in the game that discards for crystal points or for crystals. Yeah, then you're gonna get real confused.
Discard a card from your hand, generate a crystal. Just 1 or 2? Is it 2? Is it 1? Crystal points or crystals? I don't know.
Yeah.
Do you think though, like in the pre-release kits, we get?
PP?
Do you think we get like crystal counters?
Not in America, probably.
Yeah, we still don't have the frozen counters.
I sold my freeze counters. I had to buy those from like Europe.
Oh, I have them
to get them. But yeah, I don't know. I think just to be safe, bring a D20.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Shards. Yeah, Mr. Final. Shards.
Yeah, that'd have been better.
Fun.
Yeah,
Shards would have been
way
Phoenix
better.
Downs. We said pre-show, call it mana, but then we were figuring, you know what, that might be a keyword that they want to do something else with down the line. But yeah, shards. Shards would have been fine. Shards would have been fine.
Ocean, elixir,
Prisms.
something.
Prism.
Yeah. It's just not crystal. Like, don't share a name with your other resource.
Anything but crystals. Anything.
Like, could you imagine if they introduced something called like hit points or something, and you're gonna have like health and hit points?
Yeah, it's already fun with a new player. Well, power and health are different, but shared by the same number, indicating what they are. Okay, wait, what? So is it dead or not? No, it's not dead. It's not dead. It's not dead. Well, why did it hit you for 8,000? Well, because it still has 8,000. You know what? I don't. Let's go play Final Fantasy XIV. Actually, I love teaching new people how to play the game. So, check out our streams Friday 7 p.m. or I don't even know what I'm doing anymore. Monday 7 p.m. Eastern. We got the table cam all set up. We've used it the last 2 weeks. It's beautiful. Camera number 4 in this joint now, soon to be camera number 5, giving you a whole room shot when we're sitting at the table. Room shot, not rim shot. That's a different thing.
That's another podcast.
Yeah, that's an entirely different podcast. That's on OnlyFans, $17.99 a month. Oh, speaking of card games, before we leave FFTCG, Krona or Tark, you played the demo for the other Square Enix card thing.
I did.
That is not digital Final Fantasy TCG, even though Yu-Gi-Oh is now getting one, and Pokemon's now getting an update, and Magic the Gathering Arena is update. No, we'll still use Octagon. Whatever, fine. How was it?
It was a very charming little RPG. And that's the thing to take away. First off, it's an RPG. just everything is stylized with cards. So I thought it was going to be a card game as an RPG, but it's an RPG using cards. So I find it pretty charming. Lasted about 2 hours. Kind of basic like Final Fantasy trope. Here's your mission: go into the cave, fight the bad guy, and that was the end of the demo. But yeah, I found it enjoyable. I could, uh, I'm looking forward to a full release, and I'm definitely gonna purchase that. They'll get my money this way, okay? Not from another purchase of Shadowbringers.
He's just like, I'd like to play inferior products if
I
I
like
could.
how
Whatever.
he's like they're not getting my Final Fantasy 14 money,
they're
even though
not
I pay
gonna
them
They
every
already got
month.
it.
They're
They
not
already
gonna
got
give
it. They don't
I
need it
send
more
you
of it.
15 every month.
I'll give them money for cruise trays before I buy another version of the game. But I found it pretty charming.
I pre-ordered the metal cards, but I'm not gonna buy the game. I just thought the metal cards were tremendously like gorgeous art etched in the metal. I was like, yeah, I'll buy those, but I'm not gonna buy the game. ActRaiser. Yeah, Kronos, I saw that you played it too. I talked a little bit about this on Gaming Gumbo last week. I wasn't quite finished with it in time for the show. Since then, we're fine. I loved ActRaiser on the Super Nintendo as a younger man. I absolutely loved it. The number of times I beat that game is I couldn't even tell you. I played it over and over. ActRaiser 2, not so much. But the original ActRaiser, just tremendous game. I loved seeing the Nintendo Direct, that drop as a surprise thing from Square, and it was available immediately, so I had to pick it up. I was like, cool, couple extra boss fights, some extra music, but a lot of it sticking to the original. Then I played it. Then I saw what you had to say about it, and I have a feeling we kind of feel the same on it. It's okay.
Yeah.
It's
all
okay.
right.
It's okay.
Yeah, that's it.
If you never played the original and you don't want to go through getting an SNES and a cartridge or loading an emulator or something like that, you can enjoy the game. I think I still prefer the SNES version as a fan of the series, though.
I think it's just a better game, honestly.
Yeah.
I don't know. Like I appreciate some of the stuff they try to do, like the little like RTS style game is kind of fun. I think adding more fluff to like the angel sections, I don't know if that's the route I would have gone, but it's not bad. I know some people are complaining about the way the 2D sections like actually look, because I do prefer the old like pixel art
I do
to
too.
like whatever they did.
Not to
like,
say that
be, like,
it isn't
3D.
gorgeous,
Yeah.
but thematically I like the pixel look.
Well, for me, if I can ever play a game that has Yuzo Koshiro do a soundtrack, I love game soundtracks,
Yeah.
man. Like they mean a lot to me. So like, the guy that does ActRaiser Streets of Rage, like, yeah, I'm gonna buy that game just to listen to the soundtrack,
Yeah.
if anything. But yeah, 100%ed it in probably like 3 or 4 days, and it was longer than I thought. Honestly, it probably took me about 8 hours or so to do everything, and I mean, I could beat the old ActRaiser in half that time. So, but I do prefer the old one. Same as you. Same little small complaints. But if you want to spend, what was it? I think it was it $30 or $40? I don't even remember how much I paid for it.
Yeah,
now.
I think it was 30.
Yeah,
30.
I think $30 is not bad.
No.
I think it's all right.
Did you buy
I was
it,
actually
Tark?
surprised.
Did you buy it?
The plan is to buy it. I just have not yet. I love ActRaiser, the original.
Yeah.
God, that game's amazing.
Little Meepo wants them to do the
I'll
same
try it.
for ActRaiser 2. I really like that game. So I think ActRaiser 2 probably should have been the one they did first, because I think they could have made that game better in a lot of ways in a remastered edition. Change some things up, because 2 gets a little dicey at some spots. But not a terrible game, just not as good as the original in my mind. Last thing before we head on over and do Love It or Leave It, Crystal Dynamics took to Twitter advertising their relationship with Xbox for Perfect Dark. We couldn't be more excited to join forces with the initiative to bring Perfect Dark to a new generation of gamers. We thrive on reimagining epic heroes and can't wait to realize this first-person spy thriller together. And you might be saying, Mike, this is the Square Enix show, the Final Fantasy show. Why are you talking about Perfect Dark? And I say, nay, wait just a moment. Because they replied to their own tweet saying, we're thrilled to add Perfect Dark to our development efforts alongside Marvel's Avengers, and Tomb Raider. Let's just forget about that first one. We don't talk about that on this show anymore.
Yeah.
That's
The
not
horse
true,
is
but
dead.
all right.
Finally, it's dead.
It's not dead yet, but yeah. This time we won't talk about it.
Yeah, this time we're gonna skip it. You got your Spider-Man yet? No, you don't. Okay. But they said alongside Marvel's Avengers and Tomb Raider. Now, we've been kind of waiting all year to see if we get an announcement, Tark, from Square on Tomb Raider, given that this is the anniversary year. They've been doing the website with the looks throughout the years, and they've had different streams. Are we going to get another one? And no word, but it sounds like even if they're not officially announcing it, that there are development efforts going on right now. Alongside implies they're happening.
Yeah. A reveal that wasn't maybe supposed to be revealed. Oh, mistakes. Oh no.
I'll just blame NVIDIA.
What could be going on over there?
Yeah, just blame NVIDIA.
Yes.
NVIDIA.
They leaked it first. God.
NVIDIA did it first. Let's head over to Love It or Leave It. For those of you just joining us for the first time, thank you so much. For those of you that don't know, this is how we end every episode of the Relic Grind here on Ready Check Radio with a little segment I call Love It or Leave It. This is where I give the panel something Square Enix related. Could be a game, could be a remaster, could be a press release, could be an in-game system like the Duty Finder or something like that. Anything, even tangential. You know what? If I want to bring it, it's my show. Tough.
Yeah.
And you tell me whether you like it, you love it, you want more of it, or you're going to leave it and cast it aside and never see it again. Kind of like the way Balan Wonderworld went down on this show. So I got to ask you this, gentlemen. This is more conceptual, but since we talked about, Tark, you messing with the card game and some other, we talked about the Strangers thing, the Final Fantasy game that's going to be talked about at Tokyo Game Show. Should be a good show next week because we'll have all of the Tokyo Game Show stuff in from this weekend, right? Yep. So stay tuned next Thursday. I want to know just how you generally feel about demos of games when it comes to Square Enix specifically. Do you think that do you feel like they actually action the games based on feedback or anything? Does it make them better? How do you feel, love it or leave it, getting demos from games from Square Enix? Because ultimately, I mean, you got good and bad on both sides. Sure. Outriders demo probably sold a lot of copies.
Yep.
Balan Wonderworld killed the game. So you got both sides. Love it or leave it. Kronos, you're up first.
I'm gonna say love it. I'm one of those things. I know, like we talked about how Yoshi P on this show doesn't like to drip info. I love that stuff. Give me as much of it as I can. Like, hell, I'm reading full on articles to try to find one job. Hell, I'm reading in a post that it's on like a 7-hour thing. So it's not like I'm not gonna be above doing that stuff. Now, that doesn't mean I download every demo. If I know I'm gonna buy the game. And it's like just the first hour of the game, I'm probably not going to play that demo. Probably just going to buy the game. I think if it's a demo that's released like well prior to the release of the game that they actually are going to action on, I will play that and typically give feedback. Like, I really like the Stranger of Paradise demo as an example because I do think
I did too
that it will improve the game. So I love that. I'll always take demos of any kind, but I like it especially when they do it that particular way. So,
Tarkoth.
I love it. I love being able to, get hands-on with it. And again, like Chrono said, but they give time to action on it to provide your feedback so they can improve the game. And this is maybe one of the topics that we left out. Triangle strategy. They took the information in the survey from everybody that did that demo, and they've made some improvements to it for the better. So look, that game's looking pretty awesome. In general, I love doing demos, and especially if we're going to talk about the game here, give me a chance to get my hands on it and know what I'm talking about.
Yeah, and we were going to point out the triangle strategy ones, but we're running a little long, so I cut it from the show there, too. I got to say love it as well, and I also got to say, quotes out of context, love it, want to get my hands on it, Tarkoth 2021. So that is a clean sweep of love it. Chat, don't go anywhere. After today's show, we'll be going live with one of our volunteer streamers. I love them all very much. Appreciate them helping grow Ready Check Radio. Tonight, it'll be Ms. Faye Death. What's up, Faye?
Hi, hey, hello. How goes?
I like the cat ears again, as always. What are we playing tonight?
We're gonna do a little pew pew in Division 2. Switch it up. A little bit.
Switching it up. Still going looter shooter, but going in a different direction.
A little bit.
Are you playing with others? Is it just Faye alone tonight?
It is a just Faye evening, an evening with Faye, if you will.
An evening with Faye.
Yes.
An evening with Faye, shooting our way around Washington, D.C.
Exactly.
Hang tight,
Yeah.
chat. She'll go live. About 15 seconds. We'll have to take the channel down just to relabel it, throw it back up for you. We'll be back, of course, next Thursday for another episode of the Relic Grind. Don't forget that tomorrow at 11 p.m. Eastern over on Ginger Prime's channel, I'll be talking New World on their podcast. 1 p.m. Eastern on Friday over on twitch.tv/MMOBomb doing the Always Online multiplayer podcast. Help me get that one back up to where the free-to-play cast used to be. Changing names kills your SEO value. I could use a little help on that one. But we had to. Like, it's not free-to-play anymore. We cover everything. So you got to do what you got to do, you know. And then, of course, Gaming Gumbo here Saturday at 7 this weekend. And, of course, check out the streamer schedule. Ready, check Raideo. Oh, my God. Are you serious? We are at 499 Twitch followers. 499. Any one of you in chat that does not follow us, you got to click that follow button. Doesn't cost anything. You don't have to sub. I mean, you can if you want to. Not going to stop you. But give me a follow there. Give me one more follow. Puts us at 500. And then we got to schedule the Hot Chip Challenge. Oh, God. I don't know if I want to do that. But we'll be back next Thursday. Until then, Tark, where can everybody find you?
You find me on Twitter at Tarkoth Gaming. Streaming on YouTube and on Twitch at Tarkoth Gaming. I'm going to have some things going on. Hopefully some videos coming soon. Also here on Ready Check Radio Saturday and Sunday nights, we're playing Final Fantasy IV Pixel Remaster.
Kronos.
Yeah, I like how you said SEO, dude. That's search engine optimization for the people at home. That's a nice little tech term you just dropped there. No, same as always. Twitter. I'm going to watch a movie tonight if it's not obvious by the shirt that I'm wearing. So I'll probably post some spoiler-free review on there and playing the new fighting game Melty Blood. So if you're interested in that stuff, get a follow.
We are at 500 followers, ladies and gentlemen. Lil Meepo pulled the trigger on the follow, hung out on Monday's FFTCG'S stream, hung out for today's podcast for the first time, and said, damn it, I like these guys. Gave us the follow. Little Meepo, cheers for you. Disco lights in the background behind me, and also for Mr. Final Max and Camp following us during the show as well. Those disco lights are for you as well. My name's Mike Byrne. You can follow me personally right there at MagicMan1 on Twitter, but more importantly, follow at RC Radio, RAIDEO, so we can tweet at you every time we go live with a podcast or one of our volunteer streamers wants you to come and hang out and play a game. Until next time, stay safe, and we'll see you on the servers. Later!